Comment section is right again. Someone in my comment section, after I released a video about Tucker Carlson, said, be prepared to start hearing bad things about Tucker Carlson. And I was like, yeah, probably. And then I wake up the next morning and bang, a video pops up that we're going to watch together right now. This is a video that's posted on the YouTube of MSNBC, of course. And the person that they're talking to is Abby Grossman, a woman who claims that she has suffered all sorts of abuse and sexism and misogyny and anti-Semitism at the hands of Tucker Carlson and his rogue producer. So we're going to listen to this right now. I'm going to be chiming in periodically. You're going to see a little bit more riled up version of the coach than you're used to seeing, because this, in my opinion, is absolute nonsense. Let's get into it.
I heard the news. I was starting to get these texts come in from friends, and it just said, a few words said Tucker Carlson. I thought, okay, maybe it was the 60 Minutes episode that they're talking about. And I started to write back, oh, yeah, I saw the Epps thing. This is terrible. I was there while we were doing this kind of coverage. And they said, no, he's fired. And it was literally, are you sure? Because obviously, I'm at the center of a lot of this, and it felt surreal.
Really quick, she's at the center of none of this. None of what happened with Tucker and Fox has to do with this woman. But you'll hear the reasons right now of why she thinks she's at the center of all this. Let's go.
Surreal. And there were a lot of mixed emotions that went through my head. There were feelings at first like, yes. And then also the reality that you don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. But at the same time, Tucker and his executive producer, Justin Wells, who was also fired, really were responsible for breaking me and making my life a living hell. So there is a feeling of justice, but it's only partial.
Why did you go work for him?
I was working with Maria Bartiromo at the time. I knew as a female that I would never get the executive producer title there, working on that show. The opportunity came up to go to Tucker, and it was a promotion. I would be overseeing a team. I would also be overseeing 3 different platforms. And I liked the staff, honestly, when I interviewed with them. And I was hoping that it would be more professional, and what he was portraying on air was just a show.
I'm just going to say right now, and I said I'm going to be interjecting, and I am, because I gotta dispute these points. Why did she join why did she become a producer on Tucker Carlson tonight? Well, she's naming all of these things that are like vague things. Oh, I like the staff, this, that. It was because of Tucker Carlson. He is the biggest name on Fox. He is one of the biggest names on television, and you have an opportunity to work with him and his producers. It's going to look good on your resume. You did it for personal and financial reasons. You did it to enhance your career and have more money. That is why you did it. To make it seem like anything else is just wild. I say wild a lot.
And unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
So when do you realize that?
Immediately. I show up first day of work, and I know that this is a popular one. It's been widely publicized. There are literally pictures like this big of Nancy Pelosi in a bathing suit in Europe, plastered all over. There was even one on my computer screen for the temporary computer I had to use, and I had to take it down just to work. Within a few days there, I was called into Justin Wells' office with Alex McCaskill, who was a senior producer as well, and asked if Maria was having an affair with Kevin McCarthy. It was just, I was shocked. I couldn't even believe it. I was floored.
Let's go through some of what you allege in your lawsuit.
This is absolute. Now, I got to side with her. Seeing Nancy Pelosi in a bathing suit, that's a little abusive. That's a little abusive. But and then on top of that, she was asked a question about somebody if they were having an affair. So basically right now, her abuses are that she had to work with Tucker at all, and that she saw Nancy Pelosi in a bathing suit, and that she was asked questions. Basically, that so far, this is her living hell. Just to recap a little bit.
It is this culture of misogyny. How did that manifest in a more personal way?
I'm tough. I have a thick skin, obviously, having been through all I've been through in the last month. But it's hard to take day in and day out, which is a big part of why I'm speaking out now, to let people know that it's not okay, and the impact of bullying when it's done day after day after day. And very quickly, I spoke out. For example, early on, they had Andrew Tate on the show, and I raised my hand and I said, we have to be very mindful that this is two white males together. And I used the example of Gayle King and R. Kelly, saying that she could go in a different direction with that interview, that I felt Tucker couldn't. And they weren't happy about that, because they wanted to be a bro fest. They were all laughing about how fun it would be to go to Romania and hang out with him. They liked his messaging. So whenever I said something like that, it put a target on my back, and gradually I was shut out of meetings. I was mocked. I was eventually demoted. That's how it played out for me. And it got worse and it got worse and it got worse every time I spoke out.
Yeah, well, you have to look at it like this, from a producer, from a entertainment TV network perspective. They're like, we're going to talk to the biggest person in the world. They run on ratings. They run on ratings, viewership, all of that stuff. So we're going to go talk to the biggest person in the world. And her suggestion is, maybe we should have that biggest person in the world talk to someone else and not you. This is your producer. Imagine that. You're a producer, the person who's supposed to get you guests and get you stories and get you all these special people in front of you, is like, maybe we should put that in front of somebody else, maybe a woman, because you're both white. It's always, and shout out to all the white women. I'm married to a white woman. I love white women, but it's always white women that are like, you guys are white. They're always calling out the whiteness. Like, what's the problem? Two white guys sit down and talk. Plus, Andrew Tate's not white. He's black. And I know, because I know eventually my wife and I are going to have a son, and he's going to be mixed, and I'm going to say he's black. Of course. He's a mixed kid. That's what Andrew Tate is. Absolutely ridiculous. And that, just so we recap again, that is her version of suffering misogyny. The fact that these guys wanted to do a story with Andrew Tate. That they actually, and again, to like his messaging. Yeah, he has some wild things that he said, but also you can always take a different take. It's like Jordan Peterson. Piers Morgan did an interview with Jordan Peterson. Now, a lot of people like to put Jordan Peterson in front of camera and do some got you type of questioning. Get him riled up, get him angry, have a debate with him. Piers Morgan decided, I want to go a different way. I've seen different things. Why can't Tucker do the same thing with Andrew Tate? And just decide, listen, I've heard some good things that he said, and I want to talk about that. I want to show people a different light. That's what you're supposed to do to be creative in the media space. You're supposed to show people a different angle than they're used to seeing. It's good for a person to be seen wholly and not just from this, misogynistic view that everybody has of Andrew Tate. Getting riled up here. Let me keep going.
What was your experience with anti-Semitism?
It's interesting because I've never experienced it in my life until now. It was nothing I ever really thought of. And it started sort of around the holiday period. I had a colleague who was Israeli, and they do this thing with HR where you become this global ambassador for Fox for the show, and you get $10,000 essentially to represent the program as a diversity ambassador, and the whole staff was white. So they recommended that he be that person because Israelis and Jews are minorities. And they first suggested it in a meeting, and then they brought it to him. I think he was shocked. And they said he could use that money to buy pizza for the whole staff for a year. Now, I know HR claims they did an investigation, and they said that some of these things were said, but the feelings about it in the office were different than me. It was said, but they weren't offended.
What is it?
This is wild. So her dealing with anti-Semitism was watching someone else get offered $10,000, be acknowledged for who they are as a Jewish person, as acknowledging their religion, acknowledging them as a minority, getting offered $10,000 and becoming a global ambassador for the company because everybody else is white, and that's anti-Semitic. That would be like me as a black person. Everybody's just like, hey man, you could be the diversity representative, since you're pretty much the diversity here. And I'm just like, oh man, oh no, why do I have to be I'm the black person? Like, yeah. And you're what? You're giving me $10,000 and you want me to buy pizza for everybody? Okay. All right, let's do that. I'm not using all the money for pizza. Some of it's going to go towards diversity, and I'm going to, spend it in my house. But other than that, I'm going to diversify some stocks and bonds or something with it. But yeah, I'm going to buy some people some pizza. Like, how? And her experience is through someone else. She watched somebody else get offered this. She watched somebody else's religion get them acknowledged as a person. And for her, that's just like, well, that's just so anti-Semitic. Notice that we haven't heard this story from this Israeli man who experienced this himself. Not at all. It's just from her now tacking it on to her story to make it seem like some horrible injustice has happened to her while working with Tucker Carlson. Again, not even 24 hours after he's been released from the company. Just incredible.
It about the culture at Tucker, because listen, as someone who covers him and covers him as a force that threatened democracy until Friday night, it falls in this category of shocking, not surprising. What was for you, as someone inside Fox, shocking about the culture at Tucker coming from Maria's show?
It was very out in the open. What you see is what ends up on air. People are believers who are there. I found it difficult to cover the kind of stories that they wanted me to cover. I wasn't expecting it. Maybe I should have. That's what some people say. But for example, right toward the end of my time there, when the January 6 tapes were coming out, Tucker was very set on finding an...
Well, I have to, because you heard it too, that Tucker was a threat to democracy. This lady just said, I've been covering him, talking about how he's a threat to democracy. Mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to hear that. Now, I could even take the stance that she and her network are a threat to democracy. A threat to democracy, a threat to truth, a threat to a well-informed populace, which is what we all need to be in order to make proper informed decisions. We could definitely say that MSNBC is a threat to that. But I won't even say that. I'll say that she's a journalist who spins things like crazy to their own narrative, but I won't call them a threat to democracy. The fact that she's taking that type of stance is so crazy. Now, what you're about to hear is this woman, Abby. She's going to start talking about the January 6 tapes. And I just need you to understand that the same thing I said with Tate applies here as well. Tucker was given all of this footage. He thought that he saw a different story than what was painted by the CNNs and the ABCs and the SMNBCs. He thought there was a different angle that wasn't being spoken about. And he was trying to uncover that. And for some reason, she had a really big problem doing that. Again, a producer. This is supposed to be someone who's supposed to have your back. As a journalist, this person's supposed to help you. And she's doing the complete opposite. Let's just get into it. Sorry.
FBI person who was implanted in the crowd and spinning this conspiracy that they were ultimately the ones responsible for the Capitol attack, not Fox News, as they're about to go into the Dominion trial, that it was really, the FBI that set up this thing, not Fox telling the American people that the election was rigged and the voting machines did it. And when I went back to them and said, look, there's no conspiracy theory here. I called this attorney that's representing one of the Proud Boys, and he flat out told me on 2 occasions, there is no conspiracy. Get away from this stuff. This is dangerous. Tell Tucker to stop. I'll come on your show and represent my client, but I absolutely will walk off if he asks me this. And the response was, well, find somebody else. Tucker is really intent on this. And that wore on my mental health, too, because by that time, I had really begun to connect the dots that the programming that we were putting on the air every night was not just generating business, but also generating hatred in the audience. And after January 6th, I had this wake up moment that this is hurting people. People are getting angry and people are acting out on that anger, and this is not okay. And I don't want to be part of that.
I just have to say really quickly, now when she brings up the Proud Boys and how this person is saying absolutely not, there's no conspiracy there, this, that, the fact that she's even bringing up the term conspiracy is absolutely crazy. But I'll just say this, if you look up Proud Boys, the Proud Boys actually had more FBI informants in the Proud Boys than actual Proud Boy members. Just so you know, like it was some number, like out of 15 of them, 12 of them were FBI informants. Basically, I think the number might even be more. It might be 13 or 14 were FBI informants, and there was just one or two actual guys who were like, we're Proud Boys. That's a real thing. You can look that up. So this is just nonsense. And now I understand why it says that she's an ex-producer. She doesn't know how to be a producer. If the person who you're working for comes to you and says, we're trying to work out this story, we're trying to gain some footing, we're trying to like find pieces to this story, and you're like, well, this person said this, and they said absolutely not, they'll walk away if you ask this question. Well, find somebody else. Of course, find somebody else. This is not gotcha journalism. That's what you're supposed to do. A door gets closed in your face. You're supposed to go look and twist more doorknobs until one more opens, and you start finding that angle. This woman is a terrible producer. As far as I can see, I've worked in film and television. This is not how they operate. Producers and film crew and everybody is supposed to be all hands on deck. Everybody is working towards one goal. And this woman entered this situation and constantly was trying to divert what they were doing. You know, you're supposed to talk to the biggest person in the world, Andrew Tate. Let some lady do it instead. You're trying to find this angle on January 6th. Yeah, I don't want to find that angle with you. This woman was not prepared to be a producer. And I think ex-producer, not just ex-Fox News producer, I think ex-producer is going to be in her title for a very long time. Because she doesn't like finding narrative or helping a journalist find the narrative that they're trying to find the angle that they're trying to uncover. She can't be a producer. I don't know. She's going to have to go to Hollywood. Hollywood, everything's fake there. She might be surprised there too. I don't know. Now, I'm just going to say this clip is about 12 minutes long. I just went through half of it. It's just more of this nonsense. But I just wanted to play this because, like this person said in the comment section, get prepared to hear some people talking a lot of smack about Tucker Carlson right now. I think it's going to come up even more than this. I think there's going to be more things coming forward. I actually heard about something recently that Fox News has a damaging file on Tucker Carlson in case he comes out saying anything about Fox. So just be prepared to hear a lot of different things. But I will be covering all of them. And other than that, I am out.